So today is Friday, the 14th of August, 2025. Gradually, we're entering the middle of the month. Good morning, Mr. Akman. And in the next couple of weeks, the month will definitely be as good as over. So today, we have a couple of fundamental events, though medium impact. We never can tell. It may not move the market so much, and it could. It all depends. But the general thing is that they are all medium impact events. Like by 1:30 p.m. there'll be core retail sales, retail sales. Now, they are both medium impact, but then since they are combined together, if the data comes out either good or bad, that for each of these events, that may lead to some volatility on the dollar. So let's just be within, you know, that's let's just have that thought of probably there could be a volatility, until the release of the data when we know the actual thing that would take place in the market. And by 3 p.m., there'll be prelim UOM consumer sentiment and prelim UOM inflation expectation. Again, both of them are medium impact. But then by 3 p.m., there is a possibility, even if it's not so volatile. Now, usually there's always the end of the week or end of the month volatility. So the end of the week or end of the volatility might push this one. So what either ways, let's just have a mindset of the possibility of volatility across this data that will be released. Now, the important part here is that it's now the direction. If the data comes out, all good for the dollar in this case, let's just say for all of them, that will lead to a massive bullish movement on the dollar. And if it comes out bad, that will lead to a massive bearish movement. Other scenarios is if actual comes out equal to forecast, where we could have a spike, or some good, some bad, that could also lead to a spike. But the best scenario is if it's either good or bad for the dollar. So let's take note of this event by 1:30 p.m. and 3 p.m. There's no news in the morning, just in the afternoon. So if you have any pure technical trade that you've been watching, it can still run between now and the afternoon when these news events will be released. All right, so with that being said, I'm flipping over to the chart for us to check the instrument I'll be looking at for today. Now, I'll be looking at the GBP USD. I've actually been watching it since yesterday. I've been watching this instrument closely since yesterday, and I'll give you my reasons for that. Now, for the USD, GBP USD rather, uh, 2 days ago, price closed as a rejection candle on the daily time frame. We have price closing as a rejection candle on the daily time frame right there, and it's also at a resistance zone. All right, so a rejection candle at a resistance zone technically will give us a reversal, outcome. So we hold a bearish outlook on the GBP USD, but then let's switch to lower time frames to look out for possible entry levels. Like I said, that rejection candle on the daily turned around into a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern here. So it's still reinforcing the fact that we should expect a reversal. Let's take it down to 1 hour. Now, on 1 hour, usually this kind of pattern may end up giving us what may be a head and shoulder pattern, but in reality, it's not really so sharp, except we want to look at it from this angle, and then a drop, but it's not really looking as sharp as I expect. So, but what I know is if price is able to break out below this recent low here, then because we have a rejection candle on the daily time frame, we should be looking for entry below this minor support level. That's below 134750. That area we should be looking out for entry if price is able to turn around for a reversal. And if that happens, we'll be looking for profits in the following range of price levels. Just a second. Okay, so you can clearly see that just around that area where I marked as a possible entry level, it's also very close to that area. We have the Fibonacci 23.6. So that tells us that that area is actually a key area we need to watch very closely. So I will even want to push the entry a little bit lower so that we'll not have a scenario where price touch that level and decides to bounce off again. So I've picked some few pips below that level, so which we can use as a possible entry. And we might be looking at setting our take profit at Fibonacci 30.8 and possibly Fibonacci 50 and Fibonacci 61.8. These are levels that price, may get to eventually if we end up with a breakout. So we're looking at entry around price level 1.34693 and take profit levels from 1.3425, 1.34118, 1.33812. These are levels. This first one, sorry, is 1.34425. 34425. So these are levels that price, may get to if there is an eventual uh breakout. Now, I still advise to trade with caution because today is Friday. Volatility may be low later in the day, but then we should still have some move at least to the first profit level, which is around 24, 25 pips thereabout. So I'm bearish on the GBP USD. And similarly, we have similar pattern forming on the AUD USD. The AUD USD also closed as a rejection candle 2 days ago. We expected a bearish movement yesterday, but for some reasons it didn't come. So maybe today will be the day. Sometimes it happens like that. That's why trading requires a lot of patience. So you can see here we have this valid resistance and price touched it a second time there. Even if you decide to extend it beyond to that level, it's still a valid support turned resistance. So that tells you this is a very key level from where we may expect a bounce. So instead of selling yesterday, it did some buying, but hopefully we may experience the selling part today. So again, we flip to a lower time frame like 1 hour, and it's looking a little bit close to what we saw on the GBP USD. But then for this one, I want to look closely at the possible neckline region because what I'm seeing is trying to form a head and shoulder, which may lead to a massive drop, all things being equal. So we'll look at entry below the neckline region. That's generally how to trade head and shoulder patterns. You enter at the break of the neckline, which is the midpoint. So we're looking for entry around price level 0.70383 and using Fibonacci, we can also mark out possible profit taking levels. Now Fibonacci 38.2 is quite close. That would be just some 10 to 12 pips away. That's Fibonacci 38.2. Fibonacci 52 is there and Fibonacci 61.8. These are possible price levels where we expect the market to target. So that means we're looking at roughly between 10 pips to Fibonacci 50 can give about 32 pips and Fibonacci 1.8 can give as much as 50 pips. So between 10 to 50 pips movement is possible, all things being equal. Now, some of these setups I'm showing you may span beyond today, but at least some profit levels, if price breaks out, at least the first profit level, if there's a breakout, price may get to those two levels. I mean, to the first level rather, I mean. Now, one thing that could also push price today will be the news from the United States by 1:30 p.m. So you don't want to miss that news because it may be the decider of how these two instruments I've showed you will move, the GBP USD and the AUD USD. If the data in the afternoon comes out good for the dollar, then that will lead to a crash in the GBP USD and the AUD USD. So I want us to watch out, for that news by 1:30 p.m. It's possible we don't have much movement in the market until the release of the data. It's very possible, but that means that tells us to watch our setup very closely, as we approach the afternoon session. Now, there are some cash pairs I've also been looking at all week long, but then it looks like they're getting ready for an opportunity to trade, like the NZD card. Now, the NZD card, I've been watching it closely all week. Yesterday, the candle closed as a rejection candle on the daily time frame. That's this candle here. And we can see overnight till this morning, we've seen some slight bullish movement. Now, we're not just trading it because it closed as a rejection candle, but because it closed as a rejection candle on a support zone. All right. So technically, we will be looking out for an upward movement in the course of today. So we can check it on the lower time frame, like 1 hour, and look for a possible entry opportunity. Now, on the 1 hour time frame, we can see here a valid falling wedge pattern, or just a trend line for now, because except I want to use, okay, can you connect this way? All right. So we have a valid falling wedge pattern, and yes, price has broken out. Seen a kind of an inverse head and shoulder, and price has broken over. Price is trying to retest the trend line before an upward continuation. So we still hold a bullish outlook on the NZD card. Very, very bullish. But then I'll give you my proposed entry level. My entry level will be anytime price breaks above this high. Sorry, my annotation tool is not speaking. Okay, so let's use this. So anytime price breaks above 0.81671 will be a time to trigger a buy on the NZD card. Now, today being Friday, well, we may just see a short move, though it may proceed beyond the first profit level as we approach the new week. What I'm saying is that this kind of setup may actually end up becoming swing from intraday to swing. But at least if price reverses today, there's a high chance price may hit the first profit level, which is about some 20 pips away. So uh I'm going to give you a signal for this one, a direct signal for this one, because I'm looking at a move between 20 to 40 pips movement. So I'll just manage a stop loss of about 20 pips thereabout. So doing a ratio 1 to 1, for the trade. All right, so let's quickly take that one. I'll post it, don't worry, I'll say it and I'll post it also. So we're going to do a buy stop on NZD card at price at price 0.81 687, TP1 0.81 886, TP2 0.82 084, and stop loss just a second. I'm trying to look at the stop loss around this shoulder so that we can be a bit safe. Let's see how many pips. 25. Okay, so we should be targeting the 25 on the way up. Okay, that's 39 there. Okay, if that's the case, let's look at a take profit from Fibonacci 50 so that we can have an appreciable movement and better risk. So sorry, I'll correct it now. Though I'll still post it, so just relax. Stop loss at 0.81416. All right, so TP1 is going to be Fibonacci 50 now. I'll correct that. TP1 is going to Fibonacci 50 at 0.82084, and TP2 will be Fibonacci 61.8 at 0.82271. All right, so I'm dropping it in the comment section now. You can take it. I'll also drop it in the Signal channel, Signal group. All right, so that's the signal right there. You can take it. Please practice risk management. If your account is $0.01, just stick. Sorry, if your account is $100, pardon me, stick with 0.01 as your lot size. So $100, use 0.01. $500, use 0.02. $1,000, use 0.0. All right, practice risk management, very important. So I'll post it, I'll drop it. I'm trying to open my 5x for those who are in 5x. I'm just trying to open that page. So once it opens, I will definitely drop it there. Okay, so let's make some progress. So we have a signal for the NZD card. Also, let me check. There's another instrument I'm watching. Okay, so AUD NZD. AUD NZD closed on a trend line. Price hit the trend line yesterday, forming a rejection candle on the daily time frame. And I think there's a corresponding resistance. Price touched the tip of the resistance. So technically, we're looking for a downward movement on the AUD NZD today. Under normal condition, this should have been a perfect head and shoulder and a drop. So still take it as that. And this should be the neckline. So price broke the neckline and is retesting it. Then we should have a continuation, a further continuation downwards. So we can look at entries around this region below this box, below the recent low. And possibly be our entry, and we can look out for profits in the following levels. Fibonacci 50 is very close, so we'll just ignore that. So we look at Fibonacci 61.8 and 78.6 as possible profit levels, and that can give as much as 27 pips to about 56 pips. So we're bearish on the AUD NZD. Okay, I think that'll be all from my end this morning. I've analyzed about 4 pairs. I don't think I want to go beyond this 4. I will respond now to requests I'm seeing. Mr. Daniel Yakubu said I should check gold. Mr. Akman Euro NZD, Mr. Charles BTC USD. So let's check all those 3 instruments. Now on the 4-hour time frame, gold is trading at the support zone. You can clearly see that it's trading at the support zone on the 4-hour time frame. And the last 4-hour candle price tested that support. So there's a possibility we may see an upside movement. You know, that rejection candle there was a test of that support. That's on the 4-hour, on the 1 hour rather. On the 15 minutes time frame, this is my outlook on gold. I expect a breakout to the upside on gold because this eventually is now forming what looks like a double bottom pattern. So we may see a breakout to the upside on gold. So we mark this area and watch out for a breakout above this box from where we can trigger a buy on gold. So we have a bullish setup on gold. On the 15 minutes time frame, entry will be on 15 minutes time frame, and profit taking levels Fibonacci 38.2 is the closest one, and all things being equal, that may generate about 70 pips on the average. Fibonacci 50 may go higher, and Fibonacci 1.8. It all depends on how volatile the market is. You know, we don't have any news this morning, so market volatility can be a bit low, but we're looking out for possibly from 70 pips to 180 to 290 pips movement on this instrument. Don't always forget the final confirmation is your RSI above 50 and MACD above 0. That's your final confirmation, you know, for entry. So we're bullish on gold. I'm trying to take it down even to 5 minutes to still see if we can refine. Okay, I think it's getting clearer here. Now, on the 5 minutes, if price would drop lower, it will end up forming an inverse head and shoulder, which will give it a higher probability to launch, you know, very powerfully up. So just watch it closer. And whoever who asked that question on gold, if there's a further drop here, it's a good one. If price can retrace further, it will help it to complete the inverse head and shoulder, and that can lead to a massive bullish breakout. But even if that doesn't happen, we are just bullish. We are just waiting for a turnaround of price to break out above this area, then price going to those levels. At least the first profit taking level at 70 pips is as good as a level price will get to. Others, maybe not, but at least the first one, price should get there. So we're bullish on the BTC, on gold. Mavi, you're on profit on what, sir? Is it gold or which one? You need to be specific. Are you buying or selling? So tell me, are you buying or selling? Because I'm not seeing any push yet to the upside except you're scalping. So if it's your
I'm
scalp,
buying, sir.
you're buying.
I'm buying. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I will advise you close because the strength to buy is not strong yet, so that it doesn't throw you into a sell. So since you're already in profit, I will advise you close it and wait for a clear breakout. Then you can make a re-entry. So it's good you're already
All
in
right, sir.
profit. Just close that profit for now so that you're not going to gamble. Because like I said, it's possible it may drop a little before it reverses. So that you don't lose that
All right,
profit
sir.
you've made. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. All right, so that's it on gold. So we'll check BTC USD and Euro NZD and we'll round up the session. So BTC USD or whichever one I see first out of the two. Okay, this is Euro NZD. Okay, so Euro NZD price hit a resistance zone yesterday. Sorry, let me just push these ones up. Price hit a resistance zone yesterday on the daily time frame. is one of the things could happen today. Price may go to fill up this space before dropping, or we may see an outright drop. Those are the two possibilities. But let's go down to the lower time frame. Let's check the 4 hour, then we check the 1 hour. Okay, this is a 4 hour time frame. So 1 hour. Okay, like I said, if it's going to complete a head and shoulder, this will be the flow. It will go up, then break out. That's the flow, because that gap might need to be filled, if not completely, at least partially, before we get a drop, and that will give us a head and shoulder pattern, which will increase the probability of price really breaking out to the downside. Now, if it happens, so for that person asking, please, it's not yet time to trigger any trade. In fact, if that region I marked is a neckline, we may even see a drop first before it move up, then a breakout downwards. So because this area here is the neckline. So if it happens like that price, we have a shoulder, a head, price tests this area before going up and breaking out downwards. Then we may just want to look at, it's looking rough anyway, but we may look at each low as a profit, especially, okay, this support, price may target this support and the next low here. Those are areas price may target. I'm not using Fibonacci for this one. So we may look at entry below this box, below 1.96384 might be the entry. And we may look at profit taking at each of the levels I marked at 1.95842 and 1.95420. These are two profit taking levels. If you don't know how to mark it, no problem. If you make your entry, look at about 50 pips for TP1 and about 90 pips for TP2, or just you can just do 40 pips for each of them. That should suffice. So we're bearish on Euro NZD. And finally, we look at BTC USD. Okay, BTC USD has been kind of ranging in the last couple of days. There's not been much volatility, though it's moving small, but there's not been much volatility around it. And that's making it a lot difficult to assess what could happen next. But then price currently is trading or may target. There are two zones here. Let me go down to 4 hour. There is a swing low on 4 hour. There is a support on the daily. So before there's going to be any move on BTC, price may need to drop to this zone first. Then we may expect a breakout to the upside. Or it may break that zone and proceed to the next one and then reverse. It's either of the two. One of the two will have to happen for us to determine the next move on BTC USA. So if it happens that way, then you can flip to a lower time frame like 15 minutes to look out for possible entries. And your entry might look like this. You may want to draw. That is if this trend line is still valid. I think when we look at it from this angle, yes, because we're expecting price to drop lower. So price may drop here and possibly break that trend line, or may break below and reverse. So either way it happens, we may just have to do use of discretion on how to draw the trend line. But basically all I'm looking at for is price dropping here for a break or drop below for a break. All right, that's my outlook on BTC USD. Okay, so that's all. I've attended to all the requests we have here. Later today by 4 p.m., we're going to have a webinar. If you've seen the link, we've been dropping the flyer since yesterday. You may join us by 4 p.m. Just click on the link to join us. It's a global business trading webinar. If you have never attended any of our webinars before at any time, then I will encourage you to join this one. It's going to be insightful. It's going to be impactful. You're welcome, Mr. Yakubu. Thank you so much, Mr. Yakubu, for that commendation. All right, we're going to end this session here. Don't forget, next month, we're having our live session once again, NFP CPI. If you missed this NFP CPI, please don't miss that of the month of September. Don't miss it. If I don't miss any live trading session with PE Prime going forward. But then aside the live sessions, we also always drop signals. You know, you're on the platform, you want to get quality signals to improve your trading account, then you need to reach out to your account manager. Our signals are, we don't charge for any of our services. We only require that you have a live account with us that is funded. So reach out to your account manager and tell them you want to be added to the signal group. Like I said, your account has to be funded. Your account manager will tell you the minimum deposit required to be a part of our signal. All right, take care. Do have a great day ahead. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, sir. God bless.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Engineer Oluwaseun, yes, I will drop the signal in the funded group.